Well, Nina, first of all, welcome back after falling ill in your last fight. What exactly happened before your last fight that caused you to pull out after the weigh-ins?
Actually, before the weigh-ins, I was already dealing with like a little bit of stomach bug. Like I couldn't keep food up, and I figured, okay, whatever. Didn't cut a lot of weight, so it wouldn't have been an issue. And then as soon as I finished the weigh-ins, I started rehydrating and stuff like that, and it just got worse. And I thought it was gonna get better, so I stayed all day hoping like it's just gonna get better. I just got to keep hydrating. But then when I started eating, I started throwing up, and I was like, okay, now it's like both ends. And then I waited, and around like midnight, my coach suggested we went to the emergency room to see if maybe they can give me some medicine to try to hold it down so I could still fight. And then around like 3:34, the doctor was kind of like, he gave me like liquid lidocaine so that I could, like I was really violently throwing up, so it would like ease the pain. And I stopped throwing up, so I, thought like maybe I could still fight. And everyone around me was like, "Don't even think about it." But then like when it became sensitive to just touch my stomach, we had to kind of decide not to do it, and see if we could maybe just reschedule it for a couple weeks later. I was supposed to last 24 to 48 hours. It was about a week before I was able to get back in the gym. So I don't know, it's just unfortunate events.
Was it just food poisoning or what?
They don't know if it was poisoning because I also had a fever and stuff. So they thought maybe it was a virus because I had like the fever and the chills. So they just gave me some medication to help with the vomiting, and I went back home. I tried to train like 2, 3 days later, and I threw up again. So I'm like, all right. So it took about a week to get out of my system. It was the easiest weight cut I ever had, so it kind of sucked. But things happen. At least now Amanda's able to be here with the baby for this fight, and I just try to look at the good things.
And you said you were hoping to reschedule it. Was it specifically you wanted to fight Cynthia because you guys were matched up before, or did it really matter who you fought to get back in?
I wanted to still fight Cynthia. I felt like it'd be fair to her too. She prepared for a fight against me. It wasn't her fault. They were asking maybe to do it in Long Island, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be only a 24, 40-hour thing. The next card they had available was San Diego. I think she's from California, so it kind of worked out for her as well. And it was enough time that if she needed a recut weight, I don't know how much weight she cut, but if she did cut a good amount, I know 1 week's hard to do that all over again because we went all the way through to the weigh-ins. So I felt like 5 weeks, San Diego was good for both of us.
And looking at her past opponents, she's obviously lost 3 in a row, but it's like to the top 5 of this division. How do you think her skill set matches up with your previous opponents? Because you've also fought pretty much everyone in top 5 from the division below you.
Yeah, I try not to look at fights like that because you can't compare how well someone's going to do compared to who they fought. Everyone's different styles make different fights. I have seen really good wrestlers in my division. We were both able to fight at 115, so us fighting at 125, I don't think it's going to be a huge difference size-wise. Maybe just we're going to be a little more healthier so we can bring out our better selves. But I feel like I have fought the best. I feel like Tatiana was the best wrestler in my division. I did fight that fight sick, but however, I felt like I did really well against her. Given maybe a minute more, I think I would have finished her. And then Claudia is also I feel like has a similar style to her. So I do feel like I've seen her before in other ways, especially in a gym. I come from a big gym with a lot of different styles. So it's nothing I haven't seen before, but a fight's a fight. Anything can happen. I'm ready for anything.
And finally, usually I've spoken to fighters when they go up a weight class. Like Dustin Poirier once said, it took him a while to feel like a lightweight rather than just a featherweight that wasn't cutting weights. So do you actually feel like a flyweight, or do you just feel like a bigger strawweight?
I feel like a bigger strawweight. I started my career as a flyweight, and that's where I felt my most powerful. I had my most finishes. I was able to have one-punch knockouts. But then they didn't have 125 when I decided to go into the UFC. And I wasn't going to fight on the local circuit anymore, not making, I was making way more money doing what I was doing. So I made that decision based on that. And then I started climbing the rankings. So I got kind of stuck in that, and what's the trajectory to where it gets me to the top. And then you keep planning, like, if I get this fight or number, you get familiar with the names and the numbers. So I got stuck with that. Once I stopped looking at that and realized, like, I feel so strong at 125, it was a no-brainer, Like, I am a 125er. I trained with the girls in the house that were 125ers, and it was like, yeah, I'm a 125er.
Nini right here. I was actually a little curious because we know about with Amanda and the separate facility, just you guys splitting from American Top Team. I want to know for yourself how you've enjoyed that transition because obviously being at a big facility and big team like that and then making the move and doing your own thing, I'm assuming it has to be a big change from the norm.
I stayed at American Top Team. I did both. I trained in the morning at American Top Team. I went to Amanda and I's gym. I watched her sparrings. I coached her sparrings, and then I trained conditioning right after that. So I was actively in both gyms. I had good training partners at American Top Team. I've been there for 15 years. I'm going to stay there until I'm finished with my career. But I also have the gym that I have with Amanda as well. They're 15 minutes away from each other. It's no difference to me. Amanda can pick whatever time she wants to train, and we work around that.
To ask the obvious question, is there a big momentum for the family? Obviously, her coming off the big win, I'd imagine it's hard not to show up and feel like you want to keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said it didn't help. It was a really heavy camp going into it for both of us. You know, new things, new moves, a baby that's more active than she was. You know, so we kind of thrive on those situations. You know, being there, being her main coach for that fight, you know, it motivated me to be like, gave me more confidence. I know what I'm talking about. I just need to put it together. And seeing her be able to do it, it made me feel like, yeah, I can do this too.
Thank you.
There it is. Nina, right here. Only because you just alluded to it, a baby that's more active. What can you elaborate more on that? I'm interested to hear how that's more challenging for you.
Man, she won't stay with anyone but Amanda and I. It's been like that since she's been born. But from the time she wakes up, she maybe takes a 20, 30-minute nap, and then she's up to like 11 at night. And she is like you can hear her out there screaming. She doesn't walk to anything. Everything's a sprint. She just has so much energy. But, you know, I was like that as a kid. I think Amanda was like that as a kid. But it gives me more energy. I know people get tired from that, but it actually like keeps me on my toes, and I enjoy it, and it's so much fun seeing her. But in the gym, like, she doesn't like when Amanda and I spar each other. She'll be like, "Mommy, no!" You know, she gets like that feeling when we start to go in a different zone, and she doesn't like it. So it's been difficult trying to keep her entertained. But we have good friends around us that like will hang out with us while she's in the gym with us, while we're training, that kind of keep her entertained. But man, that kid is nonstop.
She's how old now?
She'll be 2 in September.
So when she sees you guys sparring, she's starting to recognize like,
oh yeah,
mommy's they're fighting each other.
She doesn't like it. She doesn't like it. She'll like be like, mommy, like she'll be like, no, don't, and then like you stay focused because you're used to it at this point, but in the back of your head, you're kind of smiling because it's like, you know, we don't want her to fight, but like she walks into the gym and like runs to the punching bag and starts hitting it. So we're like, oh my God. So I don't know, you know, we don't want her to fight, but she sees it every day. You know, we're going to take a little break right now. You know, we're both going to have fights. So take her somewhere away from that.
Yeah. You haven't experienced a 3-fight losing streak since 2011. Does that weigh on you at all heading into this fight with it potentially looming?
No, because like in the beginning of my career, those fights were me I wasn't training, I was working full time and taking those fights against like Carla Esparza, Barb Honchak, and going to super close decisions, ones that even I thought I won with no experience. So I don't base those on where I am now. My last 2 fights, I had strep throat when I fought Tatiana, and I just gave birth when I fought Mackenzie. So I do not weigh in on like, oh, I lost 2. Like I weigh in like, wow, like I did that, but now you're gonna see the real me. You know?
Do you feel like this is the fresh, you know, like a brand new start?
Yeah,
for you?
I mean,
this is the one.
I'm here 100% now. I wasn't then, but you know, my head was watching Amanda fight and be active, and I just gave birth and looked at myself like, oh my God, I'm fat and sitting here like no purpose. And I just was like, if I take a fight, I know I have to get in shape, and that's what happened. And then I lost, so it was not a good idea, but it started the ball rolling again.
And the last thing for me, looking at Amanda, what would you like to see next for Amanda, given what's out there for her now that she's back at champ status? Just curious what your thoughts are.
You know, personally, there are girls that are coming up at 35. However, I would like to see her versus Valentina for a third time so it could be silenced, you know? Amanda's in a different place right now. You know, she's very comfortable. She's very good. But, you know, it would have to be the right conditions. And it would have to make sense. But that's what I would like to see.
Interesting that you use the word silence, considering she holds the 2 wins over. Is that just because Valentina keeps talking about it?
Yeah, I mean, she says, "Oh, I think I won the last one." Well, you have to definitively beat the champ. I thought Amanda won that fight. I watched it again. I thought she still won it. The first one wasn't even close. Amanda killed her the first 2 rounds, and then the third round she kind of got a little lackadaisical because she knew won the first 2. So she clearly won the first fight. That, you know, they're trying to say both fights were no. The first one Amanda clearly won. The second one, okay, it could have been close, but in the end Amanda won. Should there be a third one so Amanda can do what she just did when there was another controversial win? I think I would like to see it.
Thank you, Nina.
Would you call it a bit of a family rivalry? Because now being at 125, isn't your eventual target also now Valentina?
You know, I don't think of it like that. I never think of rivalries. I'm one of those fighters. It's really hard to get me mad or hate my opponent. You know, I've been training in combat sports since I was 6 years old. You know, I used to fight my brother. Like, to me, this is just like a sport, and I don't think of anything like that. I just think of it as going in there and being the most skilled. Yeah, she's the champion, and if it goes that way, I'm gonna fight her. But there's not gonna be any bad blood. Like, it's just going to be like, you're the best and I want to be where you are and we're going to fight for it, and that's it.